Welcome back to the channel Rare Coins All World, coin collectors and history lovers. Today, we're diving into a coin that many of us have seen in our change at one point or another, but what if I told you that the 1967 Lincoln penny could actually be worth a small fortune? Yes, you heard that right. This humble 1-cent piece, part of the iconic Lincoln series, has been hiding a secret for decades. Its value could be far higher than its face value. Stick with me as we explore the fascinating history, design, and potential worth of the 1967 Lincoln penny. The Lincoln penny has long been a staple of American currency. First introduced in 1909 to commemorate the centennial of Abraham Lincoln's birth, it has become one of the most recognizable and beloved coins in U.S. history. The 1967 Lincoln penny, in particular, is part of the long-standing tradition of honoring President Abraham Lincoln, whose legacy continues to resonate in American society today. 1967 was an interesting year in the United States, sitting at the tail end of the 1960s, a period of great social change and cultural upheaval. The U.S. was deeply immersed in the civil rights movement, the Vietnam War was intensifying, and the country was undergoing a massive transformation. Against this backdrop, the U.S. Mint continued to produce pennies, with no idea that in the future, some of these very coins would become rare and highly coveted collectibles. Now, let's talk about the design of the 1967 Lincoln penny. On the obverse, you'll find the familiar image of President Abraham Lincoln. The portrait, designed by Victor David Brenner, has been featured on the penny since 1909, and it's one of the most enduring images of any U.S. coin. The inscription around the edge reads, "Liberty" and "In God We Trust," with the year of minting, 1967, clearly visible beneath Lincoln's bust. The reverse of the coin features the familiar design of the Lincoln Memorial, a symbol of American history and democracy. So, why is the 1967 Lincoln penny so special, and what makes it stand out from other pennies? One of the key factors is its rarity. Although millions of these pennies were minted, not all of them were kept in excellent condition. Over time, many were used in circulation, exposed to wear and tear, and became worn down by the elements. However, a select few 1967 pennies were preserved in pristine, uncirculated condition, making them incredibly valuable to collectors. But it's not just the condition that makes the 1967 penny so fascinating. There are certain errors and variations that make some 1967 Lincoln pennies especially rare. Coin collectors are constantly on the lookout for any unusual characteristics, such as off-center strikes, double dies, or other minting errors. These error coins are highly sought after because they are unique. No two are ever exactly the same. If you happen to come across a 1967 Lincoln penny with one of these rare errors, it could potentially be worth much more than you ever imagined. Now, let's get to the most exciting part, the value of the 1967 Lincoln penny. As with all rare coins, the condition of the coin plays a huge role in determining its value. A well-worn penny, even one from 1967, might only be worth a few cents more than its face value. However, a pristine, uncirculated 1967 Lincoln penny can fetch a significantly higher price on the collector's market. If you're lucky enough to find a 1967 Lincoln penny in excellent condition, you could be looking at a coin worth around $66,000. That's right, $66,000 for a single penny. It's hard to believe, isn't it? But the rare, well-preserved versions of this coin have become highly valuable due to their age, condition, and the fact that they were minted during a fascinating time in American history. As the world of coin collecting continues to grow, rare pennies like the 1967 Lincoln penny only become more and more sought after. So, what should you do if you think you have one of these rare coins? First, take a closer look at its condition. Is it uncirculated? Is it free of significant wear and tear? If so, you may have a valuable coin on your hands. You should also check for any potential errors or unusual features that might set your penny apart from others. If you're not sure, it's always a good idea to have it appraised by a professional numismatist who can give you an accurate estimate of its value. If you've got a stash of pennies or have just come across an old collection of coins, don't dismiss the 1967 Lincoln penny as just another piece of change. That small, seemingly insignificant coin could be worth a lot more than you think. Keep an eye out for those uncirculated gems or potential error coins, and who knows? You could be holding onto a treasure worth tens of thousands of dollars. Today's video is one you won't want to miss. We're diving into a fascinating piece of American history, the 1978 Lincoln penny. A coin that many might overlook, but what if I told you it could be worth a lot more than you think? That's right, this seemingly ordinary 1-cent coin might just have a hidden value that will make any coin collector's jaw drop. Stick around until the end, and I'll reveal just how much this penny could be worth today. The story of the Lincoln penny is as old as American coinage itself. Introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, it quickly became a symbol of the nation's respect for one of its most beloved presidents. Over the years, the design has evolved, but the image of Lincoln, designed by sculptor Victor David Brenner, has remained one of the most iconic representations on American currency. The 1978 Lincoln penny, in particular, was minted during a fascinating time in U.S. history. The nation was in the midst of a post-Vietnam recovery, experiencing economic challenges, and the U.S. was transitioning into a new political era with Jimmy Carter in the White House. For coin collectors, the pennies from this era represent an important point in time, reflecting the economic conditions and the social changes that defined the 1970s. Looking at the design of the 1978 Lincoln penny, we see the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse front of the coin. The image of Lincoln's face, facing to the right, is surrounded by the words, "Liberty" and "In God We Trust," along with the year of minting, 1978. Below Lincoln's bust, you'll also find the mint mark, which indicates where the coin was made, either in Philadelphia, no mint mark, Denver, D, or San Francisco, S. The reverse side of the coin, as we've come to know, features the iconic Lincoln Memorial, a symbol of the nation's democratic ideals. So, what makes the 1978 Lincoln penny so valuable? When it was originally minted, these pennies were produced in large quantities, over 4 billion in total. That's a lot of pennies circulating across the country, and while it seemed like just another everyday coin, things have changed. Over time, the coins that were in circulation began to wear down, getting scratched and damaged through everyday use. However, certain 1978 pennies were kept in pristine condition, either stored away in collections or simply never used. These coins, in uncirculated condition, have become more and more valuable as the years go by. Collectors love coins that are in excellent condition because they reflect the mint's original intention and hold a certain beauty and rarity. The 1978 Lincoln penny is no exception. It may not seem rare at first glance, but finding a coin from this year in top-notch, uncirculated condition is increasingly difficult. That's where the value comes in. When it comes to rare coins, condition is everything, but it's not just about condition. There are also errors and variations that can make the 1978 Lincoln penny even more valuable. Minting errors, such as double strikes, off-center strikes, or die cracks, can create unique coins that stand out from the regular batch. Collectors go crazy for error coins because they are one-of-a-kind pieces that can't be found anywhere else. These types of errors are often caused by issues during the minting process, and they can make a coin significantly rarer and more desirable. If you happen to stumble upon a 1978 Lincoln penny with a unique feature like this, it could be worth a lot more than you think. Minting errors can increase a coin's value by thousands of dollars, and certain rare varieties can make a seemingly ordinary penny an extraordinary treasure. So, what is the actual value of the 1978 Lincoln penny? As mentioned earlier, the condition of the coin plays a huge role in its worth. A regular 1978 penny in circulated condition might only be worth 1 or 2 cents, which is its face value. However, if you find one in uncirculated, near-perfect condition, or if you come across one with a minting error, you could be sitting on a small fortune. The most valuable 1978 Lincoln pennies in top condition, or those with rare minting errors, have been known to sell for as much as $60,000. Yes, you heard me right, $60,000 for a single penny. It may seem hard to believe, but in the world of coin collecting, those rare gems can fetch incredible prices. If you find a 1978 Lincoln penny in pristine, uncirculated condition, or if you have one with a minting error, you could have a highly valuable coin on your hands. So, if you've got a collection of old pennies or if you've come across a 1978 Lincoln penny, make sure to check it carefully. It might be worth more than you ever imagined. And who knows, you could have a coin in your possession that's worth a fortune. Today, we have a real treat for you. We're going to talk about a coin that's been making waves in the world of numismatics, the 1960 United States Lincoln penny. This particular penny might seem like just another coin from the past, but trust me, it's far from ordinary. In fact, this 1960 Lincoln penny could be worth way more than you would expect. So, stick around until the end, where I'll reveal exactly how much this humble 1-cent coin could be worth today. To truly appreciate the value of the 1960 Lincoln penny, we need to take a look back at the history behind this coin. The Lincoln penny has been a staple of American currency since 1909, when it was introduced to commemorate Abraham Lincoln's 100th birthday. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the penny has featured Lincoln's portrait on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse since 1959. But it's the 1960 version that really catches the eye of collectors. 1960 was a fascinating year in American history. The country was in the midst of a post-World War II economic boom, and while there was growth and prosperity, the 1960s would eventually usher in a time of great social and political change. The year saw the first televised presidential debates between John F. Kennedy and Richard Nixon, and it was also the year that the U.S. started minting pennies using a new type of technology. These changes would impact the coins in circulation, including the Lincoln penny. The 1960 Lincoln penny is significant because it marked the beginning of a new minting process that would forever change the way American coins were produced. In 1960, the U.S. Mint began producing pennies with a new, more efficient method known as the edge design process. This method resulted in sharper, more defined details on the coin, and it also created a unique characteristic on the edge of the penny. While the design of the penny itself didn't change, the way it was minted would have a lasting impact on the coin's appeal to collectors. Now, let's take a closer look at the design of the 1960 Lincoln penny. On the obverse of the coin, you'll find the familiar profile of President Abraham Lincoln, facing to the right. Above Lincoln's portrait are the words, "In God We Trust," along with the word "Liberty" and the year of minting, 1960. The reverse side of the coin features the Lincoln Memorial, which has been a symbol of the United States government and its democratic ideals since its introduction in 1959. The words "E Pluribus Unum" and "United States of America" are also inscribed, along with the coin's denomination, 1 cent. So, what makes the 1960 Lincoln penny so valuable? While it may have been produced in large numbers, certain variations of the coin, particularly those in excellent condition, are highly sought after by collectors. Most of the 1960 pennies were circulated heavily and have since been worn down or damaged. But for the discerning collector, finding a 1960 Lincoln penny in mint condition is like striking gold. These uncirculated coins are increasingly difficult to find, and as a result, their value continues to rise. One of the most interesting aspects of the 1960 penny is the fact that there are multiple versions of it, which adds to its collector appeal. For example, in 1960, the U.S. Mint made both a small date and a large date version of the Lincoln penny. These two versions are distinguished by the size of the digits in the year 1960. The small date version is rarer and more desirable, as fewer of these were produced compared to the large date version. The small date variety is particularly interesting because it was minted during a transitional period at the U.S. Mint. When the small date design was initially produced, there was a problem with the die that caused the numbers to appear smaller than usual. As a result, the Mint had to quickly adjust and produce the large date version to correct the issue. This mistake made the small date pennies rare and highly collectible. Finding a small date 1960 penny in great condition can be like discovering a hidden treasure, but that's not all. There are also other factors that can influence the value of a 1960 penny. For instance, minting errors such as double strikes or off-center strikes can make a coin even rarer and more valuable. These types of errors are caused when the coin is improperly struck during the minting process, creating unique features that collectors highly prize. Coins with these types of defects can command even higher prices at auctions or from buyers who specialize in error coins. So, what is the value of the 1960 Lincoln penny? Well, as you might have guessed, the value depends on the condition of the coin and whether it has any unique features like the small date variation or minting errors. In general, a well-preserved 1960 penny can be worth a significant amount more than its face value of 1 cent. Some of the most valuable examples of this coin have sold for as much as $72,000. Yes, you heard that right, a single 1960 Lincoln penny could be worth $72,000. It's incredible to think that such a small coin, which was once just a regular part of everyday transactions, can now fetch such a high price. If you happen to find one of these pennies in your collection or in your change jar, it might be time to take a closer look. If you've got any 1960 Lincoln pennies lying around, or if you're lucky enough to have one in pristine condition, make sure to get it appraised. It could be worth far more than you ever imagined. Today, we're diving into the world of rare coins once again, and I've got something special for you. We'll be discussing the 1961 United States Lincoln penny. At first glance, this might seem like just another penny, but trust me, there's a lot more to this coin than meets the eye. Stick with me until the end because I'm about to reveal how much this seemingly humble penny could be worth today. Let's begin by setting the stage and exploring the historical context of the 1961 Lincoln penny. The United States was in a time of prosperity in the early 1960s. The post-World War II economic boom was still going strong, and American society was beginning to experience rapid changes. But as for the coin itself, the 1961 Lincoln penny is part of a long-standing tradition that has been a staple of American currency since its introduction in 1909. The penny was originally minted to commemorate President Abraham Lincoln's 100th birthday, and ever since, it has become a symbol of American heritage. Now, let's take a close look at the design of the 1961 penny. On the obverse side, we find the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln. The engraving was created by artist Victor David Brenner and has remained a defining feature of the Lincoln penny for decades. Above Lincoln's portrait, we see the words, "In God We Trust," along with "Liberty" to the left and the year of minting, 1961, on the right. You'll also notice the small initials, VDB, under Lincoln's shoulder. These letters represent the artist's signature, which was added after some initial controversy over its inclusion. On the reverse side of the coin, we see the iconic Lincoln Memorial, which has graced the back of the penny since 1959. This image serves as a tribute to one of the most revered presidents in American history. The reverse also features the inscriptions, United States of America, E pluribus unum, and the coin's value, 1 cent. So, why is the 1961 Lincoln penny so special in the world of coin collecting? The truth is, while the coin was produced in large numbers, the value really depends on the condition it's in today. The 1961 penny, like most coins, was widely circulated, meaning most of them were subjected to the wear and tear of daily transactions. Finding a 1961 penny in pristine or near mint condition is quite rare, and that's where the real value comes in. A coin that has been well preserved is far more desirable to collectors because it shows minimal signs of damage and wear. Many of the 1961 pennies you'll encounter today are worn down, making them less valuable than their pristine counterparts. So, if you happen to find a 1961 Lincoln penny that looks as if it just came from the mint, you could be holding a very valuable piece of American history. Another aspect that adds to the allure of the 1961 penny is the fact that it was struck in a transitional year for the U.S. Mint. While there wasn't a major change in design or composition in 1961, there were slight variations in the way the coins were minted. Over the years, the U.S. Mint has used various dyes and methods to produce coins, and some of these techniques resulted in subtle differences in the final product. These minor differences may not be immediately noticeable, but to a trained eye, they can make a big difference in terms of rarity and value. In addition, there are certain errors and minting anomalies that can make a 1961 Lincoln penny even more valuable. For example, off-center strikes, double strikes, or incorrect metal mixtures during the minting process can result in coins with unusual characteristics. These types of errors are highly sought after by collectors because they represent unique mistakes that can't be found anywhere else. If you happen to find a 1961 penny with one of these errors, it could be worth far more than the standard issue. So, let's get down to the big question: how much is the 1961 Lincoln penny worth today? The answer really depends on the coin's condition and whether it has any unique features. However, a 1961 penny in exceptional condition, whether it's an uncirculated version or one with a rare minting error, can fetch an impressive price at auction. In fact, a well-preserved 1961 Lincoln penny can be worth as much as $70,000. That's right, this seemingly simple 1-cent coin can fetch a price that many people would never expect. It just goes to show that even the most ordinary coins, when preserved well and with a bit of luck, can become incredibly valuable. So, if you have a collection of old pennies or if you happen to come across a 1961 Lincoln penny in your change, it's definitely worth taking a second look. You never know, it could be the start of your own coin collecting treasure hunt. Before we wrap things up, let me remind you to always check the condition of any coin you come across. Coins like the 1961 Lincoln penny can have hidden value, and it's up to you to discover it. Today, we're diving into a coin that may be hiding in your collection or maybe even in your pocket. We're talking about the United States of America 1-cent Lincoln penny from 1970. This penny might seem like just another piece of currency, but trust me, it has a fascinating story and could be worth far more than you'd expect. Stick around, because you're about to discover just how valuable this small, unassuming coin can be. Let's begin by taking a step back in time to 1970. The United States was in the midst of some significant changes. The country was grappling with the turbulence of the 1960s, and the 1970s marked a new era of political and cultural shifts. The coinage system was also undergoing its own transformation, with the introduction of new metals and designs. By this time, the Lincoln penny had been around for over 6 decades, but it was still going strong. The 1970 Lincoln penny was part of the U.S. Mint's regular issue, but its value today goes beyond its historical context. The design of the 1970 Lincoln penny is one that you likely recognize. On the obverse side, you'll find the familiar profile of Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States. This famous portrait was created by Victor David Brenner and has adorned the Lincoln penny since 1909. Above Lincoln's head, you'll see the inscription, "In God We Trust," which has been a constant on U.S. coinage since 1864. To the left of Lincoln, there's the word "Liberty," and on the right, the year of minting, 1970. The reverse side of the coin showcases the iconic Lincoln Memorial, which has been the symbol on the back of the penny since 1959. This architectural marvel honors Lincoln's legacy and serves as a powerful representation of the unity and strength of the United States. The reverse also includes the inscription, "United States of America, e pluribus unum," and, of course, 1 cent. This design has remained largely unchanged for decades, making it a recognizable and beloved image for generations. Now, let's talk about why the 1970 Lincoln penny is so special and valuable. You might think that since it was minted in such large quantities, there wouldn't be much of a market for it. However, what makes this coin truly valuable is its condition, rarity, and the specific features it may have. Like most coins, the 1970 Lincoln penny was widely circulated. As a result, most of the pennies you'll find today are worn, scratched, and damaged from years of use. But the real treasure lies in the well-preserved specimens that have survived the test of time. The 1970 Lincoln penny is particularly valuable when found in uncirculated or near-mint condition. In fact, a penny that has been kept in pristine condition can fetch much higher prices than one that has seen heavy circulation. Coins that have been stored carefully and protected from the usual wear and tear are highly sought after by collectors. So, if you happen to have a 1970 penny that looks as if it were just minted yesterday, it could be worth far more than its face value, but that's not all. Another factor that contributes to the value of the 1970 Lincoln penny is the possibility of mint errors. Over the years, there have been some unique and rare errors in the minting process that can significantly increase a coin's value. These can include things like double strikes, off-center strikes, and even misprints that make the coin stand out from the rest. Error coins are incredibly rare and highly prized in the collecting world. If you happen to have a 1970 penny with a minting error, it could be worth a substantial amount of money. There's also another interesting aspect of the 1970 Lincoln penny. In this year, the U.S. Mint began to experiment with different types of copper and zinc alloys for its coinage. This experiment led to slight variations in the composition of the coins. While the 1970 pennies were still primarily made of copper, the change in alloy composition over the years means that some years, including 1970, have coins with slightly different characteristics. These subtle differences make the 1970 penny even more interesting and can add to its value, especially when it's compared to other pennies from different years. So, what is the 1970 Lincoln penny worth today? If you have an uncirculated penny, you could be looking at a coin that's worth significantly more than just 1 cent. In fact, a well-preserved 1970 Lincoln penny has been known to sell for as much as $58,500. Yes, you read that right. A single 1970 penny could be worth tens of thousands of dollars if it's in the right condition, and it could be hiding in plain sight. So, if you're a coin collector or just someone who's interested in discovering the hidden value in your spare change, take a moment to inspect your 1970 Lincoln pennies. It might just be the rare find you've been looking for. Whether it's the pristine condition, a rare minting error, or its unique composition, this little coin has the potential to bring you a hefty payday. Before we wrap up, let me remind you that coin collecting is all about the thrill of discovery. Whether you're an experienced collector or a beginner, every coin has a story, and sometimes that story can lead to some incredible rewards. So, always keep an eye out for those hidden gems in your collection. If you enjoyed this video and want to learn more about the fascinating world of rare and valuable coins, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and ring the notification bell so you never miss an episode. Thanks for watching, and as always, happy collecting.